What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a very special episode of the West Coast Davengers. Now, I know it's always comics, but we go comics adjacent here to artists. And my special guest today, he doesn't really need an introduction, but I'm going to introduce him anyway. The New York Times once said he is the Bob Ross of nightmares. And he has worked with such people as himself, but also he's done record album covers for The Used and Aesop Rock. He worked with Zack Snyder on Sucker Punch. He is the creator of The Brightmare. He is one of the all-time best-selling Topps artists when it comes to their baseball card projects. That is Project 70. It's a good friend of mine, a good friend of the show, and a good friend of George Lucas. George Lucas was inspired so much by my guest. He created Jar Jar Binks, and I'm talking about none other than Alex Pardee. There he is, Alex Pardee, right there.
Sorry, I was just brushing my teeth with my.
I don't know if you heard that introduction, but I'm excited for you to.
Did you mention my involvement with Jar Jar Binks?
Yes.
Okay, then yes. We don't. I don't need to hear anything else. Okay. As long as that got covered.
All right. Inspiration comes from everywhere. What we're going to do today, and more specifically, you have just released your first ever Garbage Pail Kids set from Topps.
Yes, look at that. There it is. Even though it says Series 2, it's Series 1.
It does. It is very strange. For somebody that doesn't collect Garbage Pail Kids, it is strange to have Series 2, but yours Series 1.
Yeah. Well, it's just to kind of like explain a little bit why that is. This set was originally the first time that Garbage Pail Kids had officially got the MLB license. Mm-hmm. So when I was approached to do the project, they were like, we finally, after 30 years of trying to get it, we got the official Major League Baseball license to do Garbage Pail Kids in Major League Baseball. And then they were like, do you want to do it? I was like, yes. And they're like, okay, awesome, let's go. And that was a year and a half ago now. And within that time of me creating them and working with them and working with the licenses, which can be very complicated, as you might understand, from MLB and Topps and Garbage Pail Kids and the branding side and the players side.
Right.
Within that time, some of the licenses for some of the players got revoked, and they lost likenesses, and they lost this and that, and so within that time period, I don't think it was a backup. I think it was actually planned just in a reverse order. But another artist named Keith Shore was doing another series of Garbage Pail Kids as well, and I think his licensing went through before mine did, so they switched kind of the way that they were releasing them. So his came out right before mine did, and then mine came out. So mine is technically Series 2.
Right, even though it was Series 1 in thought.
Yeah.
And a little insider baseball. I know the story, but this comes as an extension of your involvement and grand slamming Project 70, which came out during the pandemic, where Topps was choosing artists to do 20 cards, 20 different players. And talk about, like, for the viewers, how this came about, this relationship with Topps that started here.
Well, that came about because I've been in the Baseball Hall of Fame since I was 3. So
right, 600 home runs,
all positions.
You're the first player in MLB history to hit a grand slam off himself.
And not televised.
That's right.
Yeah, I got the Hall of Fame for the least televised player.
But
by age 5, actually. So
that's crazy. I mean, you signed that
of baseball.
You signed that contract with the Dodgers at 5 years old. Crazy stuff.
Dude, I sucked at baseball so bad. I wanted to be a baseball player when I was younger so badly, and I was in Little League, and then we had a league a step up from that called Babe Ruth, and the like Babe Ruth League or whatever. And like I tried Little League, I was bad at it, but then I got a little older and I tried again with Babe Ruth, and like I was so bad that it ruined my love for baseball. Like altogether, I was like, I'm done with baseball. I'm done with baseball cards. I'm done with pretending I ever liked baseball. I'm moving on to something where I don't get made fun of for trying to play.
It
And
worked out.
but that was when I was a kid. I collected baseball cards all the time, and then as I think we all did, and then kind of moved on. But I was always kind of aware of the sport, and living in cities that are constantly, like I lived in Oakland and San Francisco and LA, and so everywhere you have to kind of be involved in baseball.
Sure.
But so how I got involved with this, because it's completely left field. If anybody is familiar with the work that I do, I essentially just create monsters, and they're confusing, and they're messy, and they're organic, and they almost never have clothes on, and they never have sharp edges. They're just squishy and cute and messy and gory sometimes. So basically, the way this came about was I have a friend and a contemporary named Roger Gastman. And Roger Gastman is like for lack of better words, like an art curator of projects. And so he runs his own project called Beyond the Streets, which kind of collects all these graffiti artists from around the world and exhibits them in museums and stuff. But he's also kind of an art manager and just kind of a networker. And I've known him for a long time and respected him. He used to run a magazine called While You Were Sleeping back in the 90s and early 2000s, which was great. But anyways, he had always kind of been trying to find a place for me to fit in with these projects that he was doing. He got hired to help curate this Project 70 with Topps. And so he reached out to me and said, hey, I don't know if you're interested in doing this. It's a little outside of your wheelhouse, but I want to give you the opportunity to say no. Topps is looking for artists to, recreate some baseball cards that they want to do. And at first I was like, so here's my thought process throughout the beginning. I was like, fuck no, I don't know how to do that. I don't do people, let alone people in uniforms, let alone baseball gloves. That sounds horrible. Like, this is insane. Then before just neglecting it outright, I was like, oh, wait a minute. Okay. Topps is not only this major cool brand that I grew up with, but Topps also owns Garbage Pail Kids. So maybe that if I did try to do this and I got in good graces, then maybe someday down the road, I'll be able to do a Garbage Pail Kid, right? That was my thought process. Little did I know, flash forward halfway through the project, that my bubble thinking, in my world, Garbage Pail Kids were the biggest thing in the world.
All right.
And baseball was this little thing that I used to do when I was a kid. And halfway through this project, I realized how mainstream and huge baseball is.
Yeah.
And it was insane. So like the idea that like I was jumping in this project with like a hopes of drawing a Garbage Pail Kid someday was like so funny to anybody that I mentioned it to, that like was familiar with the baseball card collecting sport or just baseball in general. So it was funny. So that's how I got involved.
Well, and that speaks to who you are. I mean, as a person, I know you, but it speaks to who you are as a creator, because you're doing something that's at the top, the Broadway baseball, and you're aiming for the B movie.
Yeah.
But that it's like, it just shows to your passion. Like, if you look at, and for anybody that's not familiar, Alex has been in, he's done comics. I have some of his comics back here. His stuff is offbeat. It's not for everybody, but the way it's not for everybody brings so many people in. I've had people ask me about like some of the clothing that I'm wearing a Brightmares one right now. And it's just like, you have this way of going for a B movie, but nailing a blockbuster. And that's what this is.
Thanks. Yeah. I mean, I think the reason why sometimes I understand that my work is not for everybody. That's easy to see. But I think that there is kind of like a universal recognition of a nostalgic feeling when seeing it, I think. And I think that the reason being is because all of us, between my generation, maybe even one ahead of mine and one below mine, were raised on generally the same thing, the same inspiration. Right. Like, we were raised in a time where there wasn't an infinite amount of streaming YouTube channels that you can, like, everybody knew what your favorite television show was out of 5 that were available. Everybody knew your favorite album out of the 10 that were out at the time, right? Like, and so I think there's just being raised on the similar influences is kind of like what is recognizable in my work.
Yeah, and we're roughly the same age, so like your influences, I can spot them, but I think there's something and I think what draws people to it from other generations, like people that wouldn't generally be into monsters or monster baseball players, there's your use of color really just does something to the eyes. I don't know what it is because I can't quantify it in words, but it's something. And so what and you created this, I wouldn't call it a brand. What would you call Brightmares? Brightmares is your
I
vibe.
think it's a brand. It's a brand identity. It encompasses me as a creator. I think just in terms of like, for the longest time, before this kind of like weird, illustrative, goopy, monstrous, bright art kind of was more mainstream, like, years ago, it was always kind of really hard for me to explain when I would meet somebody and they'd be like, oh, you do art? Like, what kind of art do you do? And like, my answer was confusing because I did bright and dark and weird, but happy, but gross and depressing, but also humorous. I think it was around 2014 or 15, I came up with the term Brightmare, which just was a shortened version of a bright nightmare. And once I kind of like created that term, it kind of helped me encompass an explanation for what I do, right? Like I just kind of create these bright nightmares in whatever form, whether it's a comic or an animation or, a painting. So
it's something that I've watched people, I tell them about it and I see them go to your website or your Instagram and they're like, oh, it's like you say that word and then you look at it. So this is Brightmare Baseball. What we're going to look at.
Yeah, it was, I tried to get him to call it major MLB for Major League Brightmares. They weren't going for it.
Well, you can't, some corporations, they just.
So are we opening up a box of 8-packs or is this a single pack?
No, we're going to do 2 boxes of 8-packs.
All right, perfect. Let's go.
Yeah, I haven't seen them yet.
Okay.
And I do want to show off this one. This is from a Garbage Pail Kids set. This is you.
So that one was, I had gotten the job to do the baseball card ones, but then in the middle of that was a set from an exclusive, I believe it was Complex Con. Once again, Roger Gassman curated Beyond the Streets series of Garbage Pail Kids based on artists. So artists got to do their own self-portraits for these series. So that was technically my first Garbage Pail Kid that was released. So.
Fantastic. And well, why don't we talk about, I don't know what players are in here. I really haven't looked at the checklist. I mean, I could.
It's right on the back.
Oh, all right. So we got Acuna and Mike Trout and Wander Franco. I have him on my fantasy team this year.
Nice.
Aaron Judge, Mookie Betts, Vlad Jr., Juan Soto, O'Neill Cruz, Max Scherzer, who's a Met, Bo Bichette, Bobby Witt Jr., Julio Rodriguez, Luis Robert, Anthony Rizzo, and Spencer Strider. And I looked at that quick and I thought that said Spencer Spider. But it's all it would be a great name. So it's all newer current players, but I do want to point a spotlight. I know, and you've talked about it before, but your favorite player of all time, right? Ricky?
Yeah. And that was really, really fun to do, especially with that set. Unlike the Garbage Pail Kids with the Project 70, I did get to pick a lot of the players that I did. So I wanted to make sure that I included Ricky Henderson in that.
Of course. I had
a lot of fun doing that.
And I personally want to thank you for including me, asking me about doing these cards back, during the pandemic when we were all kind of mentally starved for conversation with people. I'm like, oh yeah, I want to hear about this set. I want to know every card.
Yeah, I liked kind of texting you like the in progress stuff and things because I couldn't share them for a long time. So
yeah, little secrets of the biz that you're not allowed to share. All right, so we've got Ironclad Vlad. Can I call out possible inspiration for this being a little bit Trapjaw from He-Man?
You can do Trapjaw, you can do Terminator, you can do, kind of anything you want. But yeah, Trapjaw for sure.
These cards are they're nice. They're high gloss. Are they actually stickers?
They should be stickers, yeah.
Okay, cool. I'll have to put some of that stuff on there. Got a Brutus Luis. So parallels, give me a little breakdown on this set just because I don't know.
Okay, so similar to the classic Garbage Pail Kids that came out, every every card has basically a twin. So it has an
Mhm.
A and a B name, right? So like in the original cards, you would have two of the same card. One would be Atom Bomb and the other one would be Blasted Billy. And they were kind of considered like twins. So what makes this set a little bit unique is that for the most part, both of the name, like basically like that one is actually based off of Spencer Strider, but since that's the B card, that's like his twin. So that's Bugged Out Billy. That doesn't have like a pun to do with Spencer or Strider.
Right.
So like the first one, the original, the A card is Spencer Flider.
Okay.
So like this one, Julio Rodriguez, that's the A card.
Hot Rodriguez.
But some of them, I was able to kind of come up with names for that weren't repetitive, that were either the first, like O'Neal Armstrong, for instance, like that's O'Neal Cruz. And so this one's O'Neal Armstrong and the other one is Cruise Missile.
Ah, and that's I like that.
Yeah. And then there's actually a third chase variant that is just their full name, their actual name. So it looks just like a baseball card.
Oh, wow. Well, here we got our first. I'm so glad you included a Met in the set. One of my favorite cards of the Project 70 was Pete. You know, Polar Bear.
Please
Pete.
subscribe.
So that's
Please
cool.
hit the
And
like
obviously
button
a
and put a
Joe,
comment below.
little Morton Joe.
You see his different color eyes. I'm very proud of that too.
Oh, I could see it now. It's hard to see in the camera. Yeah. How long did this set take you, all in all, approximately?
It took me a lot longer than I had anticipated, because it took me about almost a full year.
Wow.
And the reason for that is because
there he is.
There's one of my special ones. That's
there
one that
he
I
is.
That's me. It probably looks a little more accurate if I take my hat off. There we go, and stick my finger up my neck.
And yeah, you do have a pencil protruding from the top of your head.
So that's a chase card. Every pack should have like 5 regular cards and then like one like bonus one, whether it's like a chrome or one.
Right.
One. Yeah.
Cool. So you said about a year in total time?
Yeah, it was about a year. And the reason for that is because I had to work a little bit differently with this project than I usually do, because my style of creation is pretty loose and I don't necessarily plan things out. I usually kind of scribble shapes until I like it, and then I just make something out of it, and nobody's telling me what to do. So when I take on like projects that involve art directors and approvals and licensors and stuff, like it's a little bit longer of a process, because for this specific project, like I had to come up with the names, like the gags first, and then I had to sketch out the gags, and I had to get those approved. Then I had to do like a color comp to get those approved, and then I had to do a halfway finished one, and then I had to do the full card. And each one of the full cards I spent 40-50 hours on the final version.
Wow.
So and then with this project, about halfway through, we like I was saying, we lost some of the licenses. Originally I had a bunch of kind of Hall of Fame players. It was a mixture of older and modern players.
Right.
And then they ended up kind of losing the license to the older players. So we had to kind of reconfigure and start from scratch about halfway through. So
wow, that's a lot.
It was a lot, but I'm really happy with kind of how it went down and how they came in.
That's good. When it comes to the actual art, I assume the finished piece is all digital. Do you do any sketching, like pencil wise or anything like that?
For these, there was very little like pencil to paper sketching, but almost with everything I do, like even these, like sketching's a very not an appropriate word, because I usually will like literally just like like I'll get something in my head and I'll just like scribble a square and a triangle and eyeballs and then put an arrow that says like this should be a hot rod, right? So like and then I kind of know that that's my starting point, and then I'll since I know the finished project's going to be digital, I'll do most of the sketching and the inking and stuff digitally.
That's interesting. I mean, it's almost like, right, you're just writing down the idea so that you can get that out of your head, and then once you're ready to go, it's all digital. Do you?
I guess like a thumbnail for a comic book, right?
Right.
Like a thumbnail sketch for a comic book.
Ooh, you
There
got
you
a
go. You got
little
it. Yeah.
a numbered hollow. So this is at a 199 for the Mad Max.
Look at
Max
that.
Scherzer. Such a
Yeah,
hard name to
I
say.
know it really is. I actually don't know. I know there is a full checklist on like Topps.com and
Right.
that has like kind of like the different variations and what there are, but they did a lot of different variants, so it's going to be really hard to kind of collect like an entire actual
Oh,
set.
yeah. I just want the base set. Did you do any autographs, any autos for the set?
My self-portrait, I think I autographed about 300 of them
Oh,
that
cool.
are randomly inserted. So
I don't really mess with cards too much anymore unless it's like, I just picked up a Jim Lee X-Men sealed box from 1991. But this is different. This is,
yeah.
If one of my buddies is doing a set, I'm gonna collect
Hey.
it. Um,
Well,
so
we'll hopefully get you a full set here.
yeah. Don't want to have to buy any more boxes. I won't say how much they were, but they were really expensive.
Dude, that actually was something that I was unaware of until they came out, and I was a little taken aback. Like, when I bought Garbage Pail Kids when I was young, they were 25 cents a pack.
Yeah, and you got them in candy stores.
What was funny was that I was kind of like a little taken aback, and I was like, oh my God, like these are really high. No one's going to pay these for these. And then I went to Target and I saw like a new set of Garbage Pail Kids on the shelves at Target. And I was like, oh, I'll buy some of these. Like, I didn't know that they were still like they had a new set. And I brought like a pack up to the front to ring it up, and it said 1995. And I was like, oh my God. All right. Well, this is the market, right? So
Resurrect Ted. That's amazing. That is so good.
right.
Who is
some of them are fun. So like that one, like the Juan Soto, at the last minute, he got traded after the show, it was already done. So I ended up having to kind of reskin him and put a new uniform on him and then change the colors to match the new uniform and do that and resubmit it. And we did that with a few. There was a last minute freak out when Aaron Judge was about to get
That's
traded.
right. Yeah.
Right. Literally like the day before they were going to print. And so like they were like, we need a backup one. So I had to then redo the Aaron Judge one with like a Giants uniform in visitors, a Giants uniform at home. And then, nothing happened with that.
Yeah, he stayed in New York. I thought that he was gone, and then he wasn't. There's Mike Trout right there. So only a couple of players are ones that you've done for the Topps project, but a lot of them aren't.
Yeah, a lot of new ones. They have a lot of kind of like more rookie players. The one crossover that I have that you have there, the Mookie Betts one, is that's basically the same character that I did for the Project 70.
Right. But the other one was more, I'm looking.
The other one was a little more demonic.
Yeah. But I like this one. I think, it speaks to my comic sensibilities being quote unquote Batman or Bat.
There you go.
But I do love this one, the Atom Bomb tribute, the Atom Bomb.
Yeah, I had to do that.
Yeah. Well, is that your favorite card of all time?
It's hard to say if it's my favorite because it's the most iconic. It's like when I was a kid, I don't know if the card itself was my favorite, but the fact that it was on the first like 5 series of cards as the wrapper, was kind of made it. So
it was iconic. Would they come out 85?
85, yeah.
85. I don't remember the first time I bought a pack, but I definitely owned Garbage Pail Kids from Series 1 all the way through to, probably like Series 7 or 8, maybe even 10.
I remember the first time I bought a pack. It was at Long's Drugs, and my parents were shopping at Mervin's next door, and I went over to Long's Drugs, and there was this giant end cap from floor to ceiling of just pink boxes. And they had an exploding baby on it, and I had no idea what it was, and they were a quarter, and I was like, I'm in. And I bought it, and I was like, I need more of these. Give me my allowance, Dad, my $1, so I can buy more of them.
It's wild too, because when you think about it, non-sports cards were available in card stores. Like you could go to a baseball card or comic store, but non-sports cards were available in every store.
Grocery stores, yeah.
Candy
Toys
stores,
R Us, everything, yeah.
Toys, yeah. It was like, it was unreal. And to buy packs today, you can't even find half that stuff in Target. Like,
yeah.
You can't buy these in Target, right? They didn't do they didn't do blaster boxes for Target.
No.
The 80s were a trip.
Yeah. I wish you could have. I would have loved to have had these reach kind of a newer audience,
Sure. Well, we'll get a couple of new people on YouTube that'll see this for the first time. There's your other card. So we've got
One of the most rare cards that we have. So see in that self portrait, and I did this as like because I always like to do like inside joke stuff.
Sure.
But I have that sketch that just says baseball guy. And then I actually had them do like a super super rare chase card that you can get the baseball guy Garbage Pail Kid in one of the packs. I think there's only like a couple hundred of them in the whole one.
Well, let's hope I pull it out. We got Anthony Calamity. That's so ridiculous.
Dude, so that one, okay, I'm using this as my platform to get some stuff off my chest as well.
Please
so
do.
I wrote and I created the characters and I wrote all the names and all the puns and all that. Mm-hmm. And I got everything approved. And then when it came out, I noticed that some of the names were changed, and I was so bummed.
No!
So I was like, "Wait, what? Why?" Like, and I couldn't figure it out. And so, that's fine. Anthony Calamity, that's fine. But his original, that was the twin name, so it was like Rubbery Russo, I think, or I can't remember what the Rippin' Rizzo, maybe. Mm-hmm. And then the second one was Stretch Mark, which I was really proud of. And it got approved, but then they came out as Anthony Calamity. I'm like, what the hell? And then one of the other ones was this one. So Blame Bob. I have no idea what that means.
Yeah,
I have zero idea because mine. So that's Bobby Witt Jr. and mine was Bobby Wet.
Yeah, there you go. That makes so much.
That's sense. What I designed it for, and that's what I did. And Bobby Wet. And then when it came out, I was like, what is this Blame Bob? I don't get it. So I don't, maybe there's an inside baseball joke that I don't know, but
Blame Bob. Yeah, I don't like maybe that. Yeah, I don't make sense. Tom Nader, obviously.
So that one also look, okay. So this is Ironclad Vlad was his first one. His second one, I wanted it to kind of be a play on Terminator. And so it was Tommy Nader.
Yeah.
Which Tommy Nader sounds funnier. And Tommy is the name, but instead they put Tom Nader and Nader is like the name. I don't get it. Like,
sounds like a politician's name, actually.
It really does, and I don't understand because they bolden the bigger letters are always the name.
Sure, right. That's
so
what you're
in
supposed
this one.
To
His name is Nader.
Hey, yeah, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I'm not sure.
I'm confused. So, anyways.
Aaron Sludge, I love this card. He looks like a shit monster. I absolutely love that. Like you know what? When I pulled this card out, I think the first pack, and you remember the Green Jello song, "Shit Man"?
Yeah,
that's what this is.
That's funny. Yeah, they had that was one that I had to scale back. The first one was too gory.
I bet. I mean, I could see where you landed with this one, and I can only imagine what it looked like in its first iteration. Was there anything that you were like really fighting for in this that either you won and they let you put in, or something that maybe, if you could talk about something that they didn't let you put in that you were really fighting for?
Well,
if you can't talk about it, that's all.
No, I can talk about it. I mean, I think just in general, like where I ended up landing, I'm really happy with, but the getting there was a little tough because once they got the MLB involved and the Players Association involved, the likenesses involved, then all of a sudden there was restrictions. So you have Garbage Pail Kids, which is known for disgusting puke, shit, piss, blood, violence, weird, grotesque monsters. And then they said that when I'm designing these, to keep in mind, no gore, no blood, no piss, no shit, no vomit. And I was just like, wait, what? And so figuring out kind of like a happy medium where I still felt happy with what I was doing and could push it creatively so that there still have some, some grossness to them and some creativity. So
yeah, like that pretzel shit right there.
Yeah. So that's a good one that you're holding up because yes, I had to fight to keep that mound of garbage in there because they said no garbage on Garbage Pail Kids.
What?
It was insane. But happily they did let some things go and they pushed for me and it's fine.
At the end of the day, when you're working for a major company, corporation type thing, that they're not going to let you have what we all want you to have, no matter who it is.
This one was also Lewis Leviathan originally.
And now it's Brutus Lewis.
That's fine.
Lewis Leviathan makes sense, and I don't
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, I don't
care. Is this, do you think, the last trading card thing you'll do?
I love this kind of form. Like it's such a fun thing. It's a different medium for me to play with. So it's like a really, really fun thing. Like I'm learning a lot because in addition to these cards, I've also been working with another company called Variants, kind of doing what I'm calling companion cards to my Project 71. So I'm kind of doing a continuation of the Project 70 set on my own as self-published, non-licensed art cards that kind of, act as companions to that set. And by doing that, I'm learning a lot about like what we can do to the card to make it cool, like, like a chrome thing or a cutout card or things. And then that kind of adds another layer of how I can create something. So
okay, so this was Variants, right?
Yeah. That was kind of like a bonus one, right? That was kind of, we did that one as kind of like I wanted to make a checklist card for my Project 76. So
and then this was before Variants, but this was one of your own that you produced.
Well, so I was working with Variants at the time. They just weren't an official company at the time.
Okay.
So it's the same team, and I teamed up with them early on, and we started producing those cards. But they're the same card stock. But they have like more foil covers on them. They're like a little bit higher quality and more collectible. So
the checklist that I think you just released today, right, or this week?
A few days ago we did.
Yeah. No, they do. I mean, and what really seals it for me is the Brightmare sticker. It makes it more you than seeing somebody else's logo on there.
But but I'm doing a whole like set of like where I'm working on kind of like more. I've spent my whole life kind of creating all these characters and monsters and stuff that are all my own. So I'm kind of working on a trading card set with those, which is fun.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see. I do love the format. I mean, for the common collector or for anybody that's a collector in general, they're more accessible than being like, oh, I've got this portfolio full of prints.
Yeah.
Where prints are beautiful, but you can really like only house so many of them.
Yeah. And they also look like, if you have them in the case and stuff, you can just put them on your desk. It looks like a little fun little art trophy. Not too invasive, So and I myself, like I have no room to put. I still buy my friends' art and art that inspires me, and I don't have anywhere to put it.
Yeah, and you can at least look at these more often. Yeah, I have. I mean, literally, one of my portfolios between you and Dave is like all. That's all it is. Oh, for people that don't know, I mean, I Dave, which is Dave Korea, which is somebody you've been
my muse.
Yeah, your dude. I mean, like the two of you have been friends for how long? 15,
over 20 years. Yeah.
20 years, yeah. And I met both of you at the same time at Tara McPherson's gallery.
Is this the last pack?
This is the last pack of this box, yeah.
Oh, we got another box. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I couldn't just buy one box.
I appreciate that. Maybe you'll get some baseball guy stuff. But at Tara McPherson's cotton candy machine.
It's wild where this path has taken me. Where like now you're on my YouTube channel. It's so weird. It's whoa.
So this looks like an error, but it's not. For some reason, they also released blank versions of the card, which I guess you're supposed to name yourself. I don't really know, but they're super rare.
Also, the fact that getting those two in a row is really weird. Yeah, because this just has a number. There's no A or B. Yeah, that's really cool. I like that they did that. Also, for the sake that if you just want the art and you just want to not like be distracted by the name, I don't know.
Yeah, I kind of wish that they didn't put the blank name bar in there though.
Yeah, they should have just,
because all of them I have the full art for beneath it. So
Topps, if you're watching this, next time you do this. Nothing. Make it a virgin variant art card. So it's just the art. I don't need the peel, the number, the bar. I know it's a Garbage Pail Kid because it says it right back here. So, take a cue from the comic book industry. If you're going to do variants, make a virgin variant.
There you go.
All right. It's Rough Robert. I don't know. I've never heard of him before.
There's a few. Actually, he's not a rookie, but there's a few rookies in there that we did.
Area 50 Ron.
I'm very proud of that name.
That one's great. Yeah, that might be the best one. That might be the best one for the baseball players.
Number one.
Yeah, that's so good. And it's number one. See?
Yeah.
Really does. We got Bugged Out Billy Yen and Resurrect Ted.
You got a couple doubles already. Let's see.
Yeah. So we'll see what this second box brings. So now, would you say that you're fulfilled on your dream of doing a Garbage Pail Kid set, or do you want to do one of your own creation to have that dream filled?
Well, I think it would be silly for me to say no, I'm not fulfilled, because this is kind of like a once in a lifetime chance for me. But at the same time, like, it was fun. I would love to do more. Right. Like,
yeah.
And it would be cool to be able to kind of do my own, not even really a themed version, just like, hey, make random 20 Garbage Pail Kids. Right?
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to see what 20 random Garbage Pail Kids coming out of your head is like. And obviously, the thing about this is you're just taking real people, but they're not caricatures. They're not characters. So you get to do what you want within the boundaries of the approval. So, it's not like you're doing superheroes or something where they already have an origin. Like, did you write? And I know your process includes a lot of your art shows, all of your art shows. What am I saying? A lot. All of your art shows include some story. Yeah. And did you write any pieces of story for these characters to go along with it, just for your own?
Not for the Garbage Pail Kids. It was actually the approach for it was a little bit different. It was just kind of like a free for all. For the Project 70, I wrote individual stories for each card, and that was really fun to kind of like make, kind of use a different subgenre of horror to kind of create a backstory for each one of the cards. But with the Garbage Pail Kids, it was kind of like their backstory was never really part of the fun of it. There's another little blank one.
I will say this, the teaser videos you did when you were doing the Project 70, I know that you like a lot of those came the day you made them, like the day before you dropped them. That was one of the most interesting parts of the entire experience, because it had some type of narrative. You tooled together some great footage, but I gotta say that, like, I remember every time you sent me one or when it dropped, it was just like, I watched it like 3 times in a row. So there's another blank on.
That was fun. I think I would have, if I didn't kind of like automatically fall in love with art, I probably would have gone into marketing.
You're damn good at it.
I like it. I like marketing.
Like, I wish I had what you did in your brain for marketing, because I struggle with it. I mean, I come up with creative things, but it's like, I feel like you hit a home run every time.
Your intros are fucking great, by the way. So.
I try, I take that cue from watching SNL when I was, growing up with that cold open. There's the blowout trout. Do you have a favorite image that you illustrated for the set? Is there something?
The Mike Trout one for sure is. I was really happy that I was able to kind of like not only recreate that atom bomb one that's so iconic, but kind of like push it a little further.
Yeah.
And kind of make it my own. Like, I don't know why there's a face on the nuclear mushroom cloud, but why not? That one, there's a few. I mean, it's weird. It was the same with like the Project 70. It's hard because I invest, 40 to 50 hours in each one. And by the time it's done, there's, 60, 70 hours gone into each one. So every one that I do, I'm like, that was the best I could have done. This one's my favorite. And then I have to move on to the next one. So
Right. Yeah, I guess it's, they're all 20 of them are all your imaginative children. So, you gotta love them equally, or something like that. When people talk about their kids, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, there's some elements of some, like the Spencer Strider one, the Spencer Flighter one, like the getting the fly eyes to look like classic Garbage Pail Kid eyes, but also my own. Like, that took me a long time to figure that out, and I got those, so that was fun. But
there's Dynamite. Yeah, you have a pretty big collection of them, the cards, the originals, right?
Yeah, I still have my first. Well, actually, I have my first 9 series. I think the original series went to like 14.
Yeah.
There was an unreleased 15 series that may or may not have been on the black market, but I have the first like 9 from when I was a kid still.
They're such beautiful cards to look out because
Mm-hmm.
there's never been anything really like them.
Yeah. I mean, there was a ton of like ripoffs in the 80s.
Sure.
Of them, but like, yeah, there wasn't any that like had that hit every bone like that, right? Like every niche. There was some really fun ones. Like I actually probably would like to go back and collect a lot of those bootlegs that I did have at the time, like Grossville High.
Oh,
and
God.
you know, like there was one that like actually it might have even been Topps, but Trash Can Trolls.
I remember
those. Based on the Trolls, and they were like that was fun. But.
And then Rad Dudes, which is kind of
Rad Dudes.
Yeah, like a version of that. So Garbage Pail Kids was, am I remembering this right? It's Art Spiegelman, right?
Yeah.
Spiegel. I mean, it's crazy to me when you say the guy that wrote and illustrated Mouse, which won a Pulitzer Prize, created Garbage Pail Kids. Like,
and then John Pound was probably the most well known for the first few series,
right?
But then like Jay Lynch did some, which was cool. He's a comic guy, and I know that it's slipping my mind right now, but there's a couple like really predominant, you know, illustrators at the time that were working on it, which is cool.
Yeah. Did Stout ever do anything? I don't think he did any Garbage Pail.
Not with Garbage Pail Kids that I know of. Maybe eventually with like like they've done comic variants off and on, and
but it's a very historic series, and it comes from even more historic creators. Ooh, there's the Juan of the Dead. It's at a 250. So I thought that was pretty cool. I got both Scherzers.
Nice. Both in the 199?
Yeah, the 199s.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, Savage Scherzer and Mad Max. I think that's my favorite card. I might be biased because it's the Mets, but it's also a Mad Max reference, so really can't go wrong.
I'm happy. I like the Juan of the Dead not only because I think I'm really proud of the name. Most of them I'm proud of the names, but also like this was kind of like where I found my happy medium of like what I could push and what I could not do, right? Like I knew that I couldn't like have like a gory, like they didn't want any references to death, right?
Right.
But pushing it with like kind of like a cartoony zombie they were okay with, so
which they should be. I mean, that's the genesis of what Garbage Pail Kids spirit is built on. It's like gross stuff for kids and then gross stuff for nostalgic adults.
But you would be surprised, and I dealt with this a lot with the Project 70 cards. Topps really had my back on the Project 70 cards because you would be surprised at how kind of like diva-ish baseball players could be. Like as far as like they're like, I don't look like that.
Oh, God.
Like, no, I know that it's a Garbage Pail Kid.
It's a cartoon.
I'm not saying that you have sharp teeth in real life,
or you're half dead.
Yeah,
or, when you think about your experience, there's Artsy Alex again. When you think about your experience with that, you then think about what some people's reactions to Trey and Matt on South Park probably have been.
Oh my God, I know. I feel like if I were them, I would probably get off on that, knowing that.
Of course, like just like knowing that people are going to be so upset that you depicted.
I mean, like Harry and Meghan that just like the Prince episode that they just did.
I didn't see it, but oh God,
they just completely roasted the fact that like Harry and Meghan are like doing a book tour but also saying like don't bother us.
Jesus, is this a variant, or did I not pull a Mookie Betts yet?
I believe you did. I referenced it when.
Okay, I just didn't know if I saw the Mookie Betts part of it.
I think you did.
There's Mad Max again.
And you're getting a lot of those. That's good. That's your favorite. Oh, look at that! Both of them again.
Boom! Right in a row. I don't watch baseball that really ever anymore, but I'll still always love the Mets because that was the team that I grew up loving. Even though they've broken my heart more times than I'll ever experience. But that's New York sports for you when you're not a Yankee fan and you're not a Giants fan and you're not a Rangers fan. You just get your heart broken over and over and over.
You might be getting close to a full base set of the A's and B's.
I've seen almost everything. I guess, obviously you saw the Mookie Bats, but
I'm wondering if you have a cruise missile, O'Neill Cruz.
did I get? No, I don't think we've seen that one yet.
Andy Conda is the twin of this one.
I think I've gotten 3 of these, the Boca
okay.
Shooters. I guess it's a generational thing. Like most of these guys, all of these guys actually, every single one of these players that you've done did not grow up with Garbage Pail Kids. They're all in their 20s or 30s. But satire and spoof and parody is like the greatest thing. I love that. I can't imagine seeing this and being like, oh, I don't look like that.
Right.
This is great. Magic Wander featuring one of your little Brightmare monsters.
Yeah, that one I got to do a little monsters. That was actually the first card that I designed.
Oh, that's great. It's almost like a bunny with no fur. It's like the demonic bunny with. And if anybody's wondering what bunny with is, let's show this. One of Alex's old comics, bunny with. This is my
comics is also a loose word. I did glorified zines. They were humor books, but yeah, I would love for them to be considered comics. That's why I made them in comic sizes, but I could never tell a story when I was younger. So
well, comics can be anything. I think that's bugged out, Billy. This is great. One of the things that I like to talk about with everybody that is part of this Davenger circus is just like read everything. I just read, you know what I just read for the first time? And I don't know if you've read any Daniel Clowes, but I just read like A Velvet Glove Cast in Iron, which was part of the first 10 issues of 8 Ball. It's like reading the equivalent of a David Lynch movie. It's not comics, but it is comics, Right. So, your work in comics, you've done some covers for, was it more than one cover for Invader Zim, or was it just?
No, I did a cover for Invader Zim. That's probably one of the only covers that I've done, but I did a series with Sam Keith called Ojo back in the 90s, or I guess early 2000s, that we created together. And then after issue 2, unfortunately, I had to step away because of other basically like job responsibilities that I couldn't juggle both. And that was a very, very hard decision for me to make, but Sam was really supportive and stuff. So it was good.
Do you think it's something, since this is a comic show, do you think it's something that you might do in the future, something you'd ever want to do in the future?
I mean, doing a graphic novel, at least, maybe not an ongoing series, but doing a graphic novel is something that has been on my want to do list for so long. And I think that I've spent a lot of time over the past 4 or 5 years, like pitching movies and cartoons and shows. And I almost feel like without having that graphic novel or something to back it, it's a harder, right? So it almost feels like, well, maybe instead of doing that coldly, I should just go and spend that time to work on a graphic novel or something.
Well, I've heard a lot of people talk about how that's a way to get people's eyes these days, especially if you're looking to move it to an animated series or whatever, or a movie. And it's also storyboards. I mean, a graphic novel could technically be the equivalent of storyboarding.
Right. Which I'm not comfortable with.
Yeah.
But, it's out of my comfort zone, but that's not fully the reason why I haven't done it. It's just, I got lucky enough to kind of build a career early enough to where I was busy a lot.
Yeah. You are a very, very busy person. And thank you for doing this.
Oh yeah, no, this is fun. I'm going to be opening some more with Dave Correa, I think this week too.
That's right. Yeah, I talked to Dave today, and he said, "Yeah, you guys are going to do it on Instagram."
Oh, there's the other two. Cruise Miss.
Yeah, there's the other two.
Those might be now you might have the full base set.
Yeah, I hope I do. I mean, God, two boxes you would think, but it's only a couple packs per box. Bugged out Billy, and then let's see what this is. This is another out of a Hot Rodriguez out of 199. So the 199 and the 250s are the most common, but I did get one out of 99.
Oh, nice. I saw that there's even like 1 of 1s and 1 of 10, like pink borders and stuff. Like I wish I knew all that was there, but
It's crazy.
They know what they're doing.
parallels. Yeah, they do. They do. Area 50 Ron and Tommy. All right, we've got
Yeah,
last
one more. All right.
last pack magic.
Okay, so we're rooting for either baseball guy or there's one other series like chase variant that is super rare that I'll show you when you're done if you don't.
Okay. All right. Well, let's hope for. I want baseball.
Oh, you got another one. I seem to be pretty common actually. Seems like you got a bunch of those.
I think I got 2 artsy Alex and 2 pencil pushing Pardee. All right. Doesn't look like there's a foil in here.
No, because that's the bonus card.
Okay. So this is the bonus card.
Yeah.
Damn it, Alex.
That's not part of the run.
Okay. Now I get it. So O'Neil Armstrong, Shitman, Aaron Sludge, Fly Bill, Rip and Rizzo, and Juan of the Dead. So that was the entire box. Let's show as they say in the biz. This is the hits. We got the Hot Rodriguez at a 199. We got Bugged Out Billy at a 250. We've got
$700, $400,
$2 million right here. This is retirement money right here. We got artsy Alex and pencil pushing Pardee, which is the man in that corner right there. We got Bugged Out Billy this is out of 75. I thought.
Oh, there you go, green. That green goes good with that card too. That's cool.
Yeah, that does. It pops. Then we've got Resurrect Ted. This is just a foil that's not numbered. So
okay, I don't know what the difference is, but okay.
Me neither. And then we've got Juan of the Dead at a 250. And then the baseball ones are the ones at a 199. So I got both Max Scherzer cards. That's Savage Scherzer and Mad Max. Should be that right there. Cool. And then we make one card, Mad Max Scherzer. And then we got Blowout Trout out of 250. And then the pink out of 99.
Oh, that's cool. That's a low one too. Yeah, that's good.
And then the 2 blanks, which I guess they're not numbered, but they're rare.
They're pretty rare. So the other one that I was going to say, so I opened about 20 packs on my own as well to see if I can pull anything fun. I didn't get too much, but this is the other one that we ended up creating. So for every card, we did old school wrapper cards as well that were kind of like,
oh, wow.
They were kind of like an homage to each series. So each one is different, but every player has their series of wrapper card. Like in the old one, it said stickers here instead of wrapper.
Yeah.
But out of like 20 packs, I only got 1 wrapper card. And from what I've seen online, like not too many people have been pulling these. So I think these are pretty rare too.
Do you know, are they sold out?
Yeah. The card sold out in a week, which is good. They're done. Yeah.
Okay. So that's
secondary.
Wow. Well, I'm glad I bought these 2 boxes because I would have been really upset if I had to watch other people open this stuff and like not be able to take part in this and support your work.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it was pretty mind blowing. Like I don't know how many they ended up selling or committing to, but it was quite a bit, which is awesome.
That's great. I mean, look, it's a testament to the strength of your creation. It's not a testament to Garbage Pail Kids. It's a testament to you because it's just a reflection of what I was watching from the sidelines with you of the Project 70. Thanks. And look, I swore off cards. I swore off cards 15 years ago.
You still sell them though. I see you.
Yeah. Well, I gotta, the Marvel stuff it's just become a little bit part of comic selling. But this stuff is just a testament to like you getting me interested in cards again as a way that I never was. And, it's amazing. What's next on the plate for you?
Well, like I said, I just was going around pitching a cartoon for the last 3 months, but we don't know where that stands at the moment. So could be good, could be bad, could be nothing, but not going to stop me. I'm kind of in a transitional stage at the moment because I spent the last 2.5 years doing baseball cards, pretty exclusively. On top of, I had a couple art shows that were my personal fine art in the meantime. And I had a couple movie projects and this and that I was working on behind the scenes. So now that the Garbage Pail Kids are finally out and released, it was a secret I couldn't even talk about for a year. So I'm so happy that now I can talk about it. Like, I think you and Dave and maybe 3 other people were the only people that could tell about it. And now I've kind of spent that time kind of not neglecting, but kind of putting off stuff. Like I have my own apparel and art brand myself where I sell my art prints and I sell, shirts that I design and toys that I make and that kind of stuff. So I'm kind of trying to reconfigure getting back into that, making some time. I have some pretty big collaborations with other brands that I'm working on at the moment that won't be out for another year and a half because that's how things work.
Mhm.
But spoiler alert, it's not Topps at the moment. And unfortunately, it's not comic book related, but maybe in the future.
For the inner and outer circle, you had a very cool moment at San Diego Comic-Con this past year, speaking of comic books and comic book people, where James Gunn came out to talk about Guardians of the Galaxy wearing the Brightmare shirt.
My logo on it.
Yeah, I mean, like I know you had me texting you, but I had like 4 people text me.
It was cool. Miles Ritchie?
Yeah.
I think he was a record-setting first person to text me while we were in there because I don't know how he goes because I don't think he was at Hall H, but like I remember being at Comic-Con at my booth, and it's so hectic and so crazy, and then all of a sudden my phone just like I'm taking payments with my phone, and I just see all these texts coming through. and I think the first one was from Miles Ritchie, but like they were all like, James Gunn has your shirt on, and like. Yeah, that was awesome because I didn't know that it was going to happen, which is great. I had actually James Gunn was one of my first like internet friends back in 2002, maybe. Like I remember, I used to write fan letters to a lot of people before you could just directly now spam people's DMs, right? Like I would write like old school fan letters. I would find PO boxes and I would find like representation of people and I'd be like, you did a great job on this film. It's very inspiring. Well, whatever. James Gunn had written Dawn of the Dead, the remake with Zack Snyder, which I absolutely loved.
Great.
And then I had got some information about Slither that he was making, which was kind of like an homage to 80s, B movie body horror, which is my favorite genre of all the time. And so I kind of like started corresponding with him about that film, and he was super gracious and wrote me back and was friends. And then that year we had some correspondence back in 2002 or 3. And then I think 2004, 2005 is when Twitter like first came out. And so on Twitter for the first year of having Twitter, I had 12 friends, and like one of them was James Gunn, and we would talk about it back and forth. Years later, we ended up kind of like he went to a few of my art shows, and we ended up meeting and hanging out and stuff. And so like occasionally I'll send him shirts and stuff, and it's cool. So I knew he had shirts of mine and he collected art of mine, but I didn't know he was going to wear it. So that was really cool.
You did you do a Slither poster?
I did.
Yeah.
It was after the fact. It wasn't for the marketing of the film, but yeah, I did do a Slither poster for the resurgence of movie posters. Side
note, there is this thing in my head that I want to do at some point where we just go get some of you guys that have done the resurgence of the prints and the posters, and you were at the forefront. It was like, it's all in here, and somebody's going to do it if I don't do it.
It was a cool thing that happened because there was one of the things that I've dealt with my whole life, because I do about, maybe not so much now, but when I started, it was a pretty big 50-50 of like, I would do art based on stuff that inspired me. So it was kind of like pop culture-esque art, right? It wasn't necessarily fan art. It would just be like pop culture inspired art. So it'd be like a messy version of Daffy Duck getting fucked or something. Right? Like it's just like something random and weird and not like fan art. But it had pop culture elements. And I would always get asked like, how do you do that without getting sued? And it's like, I'll just do it. Like no one, like there's 20 people that are seeing it. I don't think they're lawyers, right? Like I'm risking it. So maybe I'll get sued. Maybe I won't. And it was a weird time where people were afraid that they were going to get sued by doing anything. And then, so I would just do it. But then like around the mid 2000s, specifically like Mondo or Gallery 1988 or I Am 8-Bit at the time, like the few of those kind of realized how inexpensive a B movie license for a poster could be.
Right.
To actually do it officially without the fear of getting sued. And then so it'd be like, hey, like we reached out directly to the director of Basket Case, and he said, we can do a poster. Do you want to do a poster? And it's like, yes.
Yeah.
And then you get a couple of those smaller, obscure licenses, and you take them to a licensing convention, and then you go, I have these licenses that I'm already done. It's proven to sell. Can I get your license for Star Wars? And then they go, I guess. And then it boom, right? And then then it became more accessible to do licensed stuff. For all of a sudden, the archives were open. It's like, oh my God, do you want to do Top Gun? It's like, well, I don't want to do Top Gun, but I'll do Critters. Like,
Yeah.
Like,
or Gremlins.
Yeah, give me some Gremlins.
And it felt at the time, and I don't want to go too deep into it because this is a conversation I could have for probably 5 hours as well as you could. It seemed like also a healthy competition between a lot of different artists of like, oh, you're going to do this poster, or I'm going to do this one. And it became this thing that I watched from the sidelines and from some of the gallery shows of just like connecting people too. Connecting artists that never maybe knew each other, or connecting scenes of people. And it's just such a fascinating thing to me. And unfortunately, with the demise of what we know as Mondo, something good will pop up in its place, but that's an end of an era. I can remember the first, couple of posters I saw that I couldn't get because they sold out. There were Ali Moss posters, but that was the beginning of what I recognized. And then diving into the world of Cotton Candy Machine and meeting a lot of different people, including you and Dave. It was like seeing all these artists that I knew from doing these licensed posters, these weird, cool posters, but now I'm seeing the original art. And that fascinates me more. I love seeing what comes from people's brains. Why don't we close it at that? Let's go into where can they find you on the interwebs?
I am, if you can see my name in the corner there, right there.
Yeah.
Basically, that's just me, all one word on everything. So at Alex Pardee and alexpardee.com. And there we go. It's easy.
I did show off your website on Sunday Sit Down a couple of weeks ago because your art came up in some form, but you can find all of the cool swag. I don't know if you still stock this hoodie, but there's a lot of
that
cool
one.
stuff.
But that's one of the things that I'm trying to kind of get back into, restocking stuff and get back on there. So I do pretty much everything myself. So
yes, you do, and it shows. It shows.
Not
I mean that as
the
a best
smartest business decision, but for somebody that grew up with the DIY aspect and control issues, I can't seem to shake it. So
well, look, I told you, and the offer still stands. If me and you are ever living in the same area, I will help you with whatever you need, because I believe in the word of Alex Pardee and the art of Alex Pardee.
Well, thank you.
I want to thank you so much for doing this with me, and I will get you back onto the channel at some point. We can have a discussion about, we could talk about Todd.
You know what? Okay, if we can do an episode on Todd McFarlane toys or Todd toys, like that's what I want to talk about.
Okay. All right. I'm looking literally right beyond the camera on the wall is the first Spawn figure, and then the Todd homeless guy figure from the movie.
Like the first, like whatever it was, those toys, the first like 9 series of Spawn toys, or the first like Movie Maniacs line, or whatever those ones were, like in that 94 to 99, like those were like, I was so obsessed with those, like just everything about it. I continued working at KB Toys, I think strictly so that I could get a discount on those. Like they're my favorite.
And it changed the toy world forever. Like there is no disputing the fact that without him and what he did, NECA wouldn't exist.
Right. Like
Mondo wouldn't have an arm in toys. Like none of these places would be doing what they were doing in the rapid succession that it all happened.
Yeah. I think eventually it would have kicked in, but like not to that extreme. Like that was like not a level up. It was like a plateau. Like it was like oh, here's toys, and then wait, we could have been like here the whole time. Like what the hell?
Oh well, that I'm definitely down to have that talk because it's something that fascinates me. Also, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Don't forget, like, follow, subscribe. West Coast Wednesday.
Thanks for watching.
Hey,
baseball rules,
and garbage is cooler.